What is going on, guys? We're back. Another episode of Bet Legends. It's Kyle. We're here with Beau. Today we got Rani, aka the chef. Chef's Hot Picks. What's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? I mean, been a pretty rainy ass day outside, so decided to stay inside and just focus on sports. Started with soccer this morning, and now we're on to baseball. And excited to be on the show for sure. First podcast ever. So hit a milestone right there for me, and yeah, can't wait to get it going.
Absolutely, bro. Happy to have you here. Happy you're having a successful day so far. MLB is back. I know a lot of us are super excited. Kyle, especially with those nerfies. Saw you cast yours today as well. I was on that as well. First game of the year, you got to make a play on it. So, but yeah, man. Glad you're on the show here, man. Would love to hear a little bit about how you got into this. Kind of where did it start from?
So just to piggyback off the nerfies, by the way, shout out to you, man, for hitting for those nerfies. I love nerfy bets. It's my favorite bet in all sports, to be honest. But how did I get into this? I played football for a pretty long time here in Canada, and just couldn't really get over the hump of going pro and everything, because in Canada it's kind of hard. We don't really have big recruitment agents and whatnot. And then eventually, I decided to step away from sports. But just that itch of when you watch a game or something, you when you've been dialed in for so long, you already know what's about to happen, and you look at it and you're like, man, I know the safety's about to come down and blitz, or I know that it's going to be a hitch route, or I know it's going to be a wheel route, or whatever it might be. And then you just start looking into sports gambling, and you start looking into props, because initially I'm a player prop guy, and you're like, man, this is really easy. This guy needs 4.5 receptions. This guy over there is pretty sure he's going to get a touchdown today because it's his mother's birthday or whatever. That guy over there is gonna get 3 sacks because of an incentive. Once you start getting dialed in and you read the game and you read the players, it's easier. It's also easier for me to read the players than an actual game spread, because it's human instinct. And you've been in that position, right? When you've played for so long, you know what the circumstances are, you know what's at stake. And just reading a player's demeanor, or just reading about a player in the news that day helps a lot. And I just slowly got getting into it. And I know you guys had Brasco not too long ago, right? And he used to have a show with about 2 viewers, and I used to be one of the viewers. And one day I decided, I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna hop on. I'm gonna try to give a play. I'm gonna try to give a pick. And I swept the entire board. I still remember what the first bets were. It was a Thursday night game against the Cowboys. It was the Ravens and Cowboys. Lamar was coming back for his first game after missing 2 games. And I had taken Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing TDs, over his rushing yards, anytime and first time TD, and Mark Andrews over 4.5 receptions. And that all cashed in the first quarter. So just after that, it just caught like wildfire. People started talking about how I swept the board that day. And every time I used to go on lives, people used to be like, oh, it's Chef's here. Chef, what do you like? What do you like today? And then eventually just evolve in this industry.
Yeah, dude, I love that come up. We've talked to some people too who, it all seems to start from, playing sports, just liking sports in general. And then you kind of just learn as you get older just about the game. And you start, like you said, you learn about certain players, how certain things are going to go down. Crazy story. So I know you've kind of grown a lot just on Instagram. Are you mainly on Instagram, just doing your thing and then going on these lives and giving out picks?
Yeah. So what helped me a lot actually was the pandemic, because I used to work these 17-hour, 18-hour days when I used to work in restaurants back then. Didn't really have time to manage a page or whatnot. And I gotta give a shout out to my ex-girlfriend, because she's the one who used to help me with that. She works in marketing, and she was the one helping me with my Instagram at first, posting the pictures for me. We used to make videos. She used to edit them for me. So big shout out to her for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, so what happened here basically in Canada is that we got shut down 3-4 times, right? And it basically like kept on stalling what I wanted to do in the kitchen industry, in the restaurant world. Uh, and it kind of made me sick of restaurants. Like I was just like, man, it's not a dependable job anymore. It's not secure. Every single time we start moving forward, we take 2 steps back. And it's kind of annoying. And so what I did is I stopped working, right, for a couple of months. And I decided to take that $2,000 that the government used to give you a month and invested in like buying like equipment that I need, getting more mentally focused on what I need. And yeah, to answer your question, I am mostly on Instagram. That's where I started, and that's where I know my people. That's where we've helped build this community. Because I remember last year when anyone used to do lives, and if anyone is telling you otherwise, they're lying. When they used to be like, oh no, we used to have 1,000, 2,000 people. That's not true. Every live that used to be on last year or a year and a half ago used to be like 3, 4, 15 viewers at most. And I'm happy to say that Brasco is like, I'll say it. I'll be the first one to say it. Brasco is like the godfather of this of these Instagram lives for the sports betting world, because I remember no one was doing it besides him and BR Betting, obviously, but BR Betting was slowly getting into those Instagram lives. I started telling myself, you know what, maybe this Instagram platform is where we can make a community, where we can build a future for it, and where we can obviously monetize it to be the next best thing, and not only go to TV and whatnot, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. It's definitely amazing to see how it's taken off. Kyle and I are approaching a year of our page. Completely agree with you. There's times where like no one was really hopping on live. It was only like people really viewing it and then kind of hopping out. Nobody was really sticking around. And now you see this big wave of engagement. You see more and more people hopping on, people like yourself, giving out picks, just like really trying to help each other out and realizing we can all win. So we definitely appreciate that from, our standpoint as well on the page that we run. It's super dope to see other people doing that.
For sure. Super interesting. And I'm happy that that community is building, man. And I'm happy to see people are helping each other. I know that at some point around Super Bowl, there was a lot of drama going on in that world, in that stratosphere. And I'm super happy to see everyone try to help each other and try to be super positive. I mean, on all my lives that I go on and that I host, I try to preach that positivity, where it's like, you don't have to hate on the guy's pick. I remember just a couple of weeks ago, people were calling me crazy and were calling me a crackhead because I took Jason Tatum under, right? It's like, relax, man. Like, if it doesn't cash, it doesn't cash. There's going to be 100 more bets during that day. There's going to be 1,000 more bets during that week. Like, just be positive, just, smile, make jokes on live, have some fun, man. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. For someone like us who spend their time in front of screens their entire day, it's just boring staring at a screen and listening to people talk, So you got to crack some jokes. You got to bring in some props from here and there. Like, I give soccer picks for the viewers, and most of the people, they don't know soccer, right? And because they don't know soccer, they don't know where some certain cities are, right? They don't know where Melbourne is, or they don't know where Madrid is, or they don't know where Copenhagen is. Sometimes, man, to make to lighten the mood so they don't feel stupid. Man, I got a turtleneck. I put on a turtleneck. I put on my reading glasses. I bring on a broom, and I post and I stick on my wall like the papers, and I'm like, all right, well, here, guys, Madrid is in Spain. All right, Spain is next to France. It's next to Portugal. But you make it fun, and the whole comments section lights up, and we all laugh together, so that person doesn't feel like stupid. And obviously, people. I've seen people hate on some people in the comments, be like, oh, you don't know where Paris is? Ha ha ha! You're where you've been for like the last 20 years of your life.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of it's a crazy industry right now, because I think a lot of people are still like learning as we go along, not even just about betting, but sports in general, and just kind of, the different things you can bet on, and just how sports are going down nowadays. You can bet on pretty much anything you can imagine: player props, spreads, over-unders. You can bet on what color the Gatorade's going to be at the Super Bowl, anything like that. So it's just this crazy world right now. And I know you mentioned like the community, and we're glad to have you on, because we know you actually show your face. You go on your Instagram page, you show who you are, you're a real person. But there's a lot of these pages that are just, someone's, name, some like lock legend, whatever it is, and you never know who the fuck it is. And they're charging for picks, they're doing this and that. But there's real people out there like us, like you. We had Karina on the other day, Brasco. These people, we get behind a screen, we show our face, and we're like, hey, you can tail us, you can fade us, but at the end of the day, we do our research, we put in that work. What are you kind of your thoughts on those people? The community in general. There's like almost like a good side and a bad side where people are hiding behind a screen, trying to steal money. It seems like from new people getting into it. And then there's people like us who are like showing our face, doing these lives, putting out content. We still get that same kind of backlash that you're talking about where people are like, man, your picks suck, man, you're so bad at this. But at the end of the day, it's like, we're all trying to win. You see a lot of that kind of people hiding behind a screen or being fake, or you have any thoughts on that?
I, at first it didn't really matter to me because when I started my Instagram page, I used to be one of those guys who used to hide like behind the screen, right? I didn't used to post my face on my stories or anything, but I did used to go on lives. But people didn't know who I was. And now getting more out there and being able to show your face and just being more a part of the community, I do agree with you. You do realize like how people are that don't show their face, that you don't know who they are, that they're posting, I'm sorry to say, but fake tickets of like somebody putting $3 million to win. No one's putting $3 million realistically. All right. And I feel bad for those people who are signed up to those people, because most of my clients, they come from people like them and they tell me all these stories of, hey man, this guy scammed me out of $20,000. This guy, I gave him $5,000 for 2 months and I didn't even get one pick, or this guy charged me $10,000 for the entire year and I haven't even won 10% of my money back. So I do feel bad for it. And I do agree with there being that human aspect, that face behind the business or the image, right? That people do trust you a bit more, I'm on live, man, like 9 hours a day. All right. I'm transparent. What you see on live is what you get in real life. If I don't like you, I'll say I don't like you. If I don't need you in my life, I don't need you in my life. If I love you, I love you. I'll say it every single show. Like the example with Sally Picks, at the end of every single show, I say, hey, Bubba, I love you. All right. Like if I didn't love him, I'd be like, all right, man, whatever. I don't care. I'm out. Or I wouldn't be working with him. I'm as straight as it comes. I won't lie to you about anything, honestly. Because at the end of the day, if I lie to you, what happens? It's a community, right? We all know each other. I know who this guy is and I know who his clients are, right? And that client knows me and he knows what I'm about, right? So let's say, and most of the clients, they double dip, like they'll have like 10, 3, 4 tappers that they're all subscribed to. And they'll be like, if I'm on a cold streak and they're signed with, let's say, Brasco. I know Brasco doesn't sell picks, but let's say they're signed with Brasco. They're like, oh yeah, Chef is having a cold streak. He's not doing so good right now. So, I'm gonna stick with you, Brasco, which is like, there's no need to lie about, like, if I post my losses, like I post my wins, and I think everyone should do it, because these pages where they post only wins, that's the pages I would tell you to stay away from, right? No one is winning every single day. No, there's no way you're winning every single day. Recently, I met this ticket writer. His name is Green Matter on Instagram. Super sweet dude, super humble. And first time I met him, man, I felt so bad because I took like 3 hours out of his night to just ask him questions. Like, hey man, are these tickets real? Like, what happens like when you're a big bettor? What happens when you lose all this money in Vegas? And he told me, he's like, look, if on sports books it's different. Like on apps it's different, because on apps they'll let you put whatever you want and they don't really care. But he told me in Vegas, if they accept a big bet from you, it's because you're a losing bettor, right? And they wouldn't put themselves in jeopardy if they knew that you were winning, right? They want those guys. They want those guys that are spending those 100K, 200K, 300K. I mean, you see these cappers online on VR betting. Recently, you saw this guy. I forget his name, but he put like 200,000 right on a game. But they accepted your bet. That means you're a losing bettor. That doesn't mean you're a winning bettor. And the more you dive into it, the more you're like, oh my God, man, all these guys are spending all this amount of money. They're not actually winning. They're pawns in Vegas's chessboard. They're scared like of the long-term bettors, right? They're scared of like these guys who know how to manage their bankroll, know how to set up unit sizes, don't go crazy overboard on games. They know exactly what game to bet, when to bet it. Then they'll flag you. You know, you won't be allowed to bet no more in that certain casino or whatever it is. So to go back to what you said, this community, man, they gotta find people that they trust, because if you hopped on people's lives and Green Matter, like a person like Green Matter was on there, and you heard everything he had to say, well, you're already aware of what you need to watch out for, right? You're like, okay, well, I can't trust this guy. He's only posting winners every single day. I can't trust this guy over there because every single ticket he has is over 50 grand. Oh, I can't trust that guy over there because he says that he's never lost on NBA, you know, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's to people's judgments as well. You can't force people. As I always tell my clients and my friends and the viewers, I'm never gonna force you to do anything you don't want to do. At the end of the day, you decide. But don't come running back to me if you lose. You know what I mean? Like, you decide to put in the bet. I didn't force you.
Absolutely. That's a great point. You know, people forget it's like we're riding on this too. We want this to win. So like if you lose and you rode with us, you know, of course we feel a little bad because, you know, people are taking our word and they're running with it. But at the same time, like you said, nobody wins every single day. People have losing days. People also have winning days. But, you know, the people that only show those winning days, chances are they're not legit.
Yeah.
And, you know, with that being said, and, you know, getting on that winning streak, what's a big part of your strategy? Like what kind of, like, how are you really coming to decisions on your bets?
Well, there's trends at first, right? The trends are like the biggest part of why you go on a hot streak, in my opinion. When I first started in this industry, or this community, or whatever we could call it right now, my favorite bet of all time is the guy right there behind me, Mark Andrews, over 4.5 receptions, cash every single game. I knew that if I had a bad day, that he would get it for me. No matter how much I would put on him, no matter what would happen, even if he didn't get it once for me, don't worry. I know he's gonna get it the next 9 times, right? And you start finding trends like that. Okay, reliable guys. For some reason, Vegas hasn't caught on to the line yet. Why is it still at 4.5? This guy last year was the leading tight end in receptions and yards and touchdowns, and his line was at 4.5 for the entire year. And his average in yards were about 67 to 69 yards, and he was crushing it every single time. Or you look at trends like the first quarter over for the Nuggets. The Nuggets have been the #1 scoring team in the NBA in the first quarter for the last 3 years. The line has not changed on them. It's always between 57, 55.5, 59 at most. Sometimes we'll go to 60, but if you say go to 60, it's because it's 100% hitting, right? So you got to find trends like that where that they're reliable, right? When you see it, you're like, I have no doubt. I don't even need to do research on this game. I'm still gonna do it because it's part of my job, and I need to back it up if someone's asking me. But when you go on hot streaks, it's mostly thanks to trends. Everything is lining up in the stars on what you usually take. Because I've gone on cold streaks, right? But the cold streaks is exactly like the stars aren't aligning. Like my trends, they're not coinciding with what I want to take, right? Let's say during the week, well, my Nuggets first quarter over is gonna be, the line's gonna be fishy. It's gonna be at 53.5. Man, I don't want to take 53.5 because I know it's going to go under, but I'm the over guy in the first quarter, so I'm going to stay away from it, you know? But a part of me is going to be like, you know what, I'll put a half a unit on, but obviously it will lose because I know my trend and I'm going against it. There's so many trends, man, that I can name you that have helped me go on hot streaks. Last year in April, I had one of the coldest months in March, one of my worst months in like ever. And then on April, I went on a crazy streak. I won like 19 days in a row. I didn't lose one bet for 19 days. I was like, man, I was on fire because my Nuggets first quarter was exactly where I wanted to be every single game. It was at 57.5, 58.5. Jokic points wasn't at 28, 29 and a half, is exactly where I wanted to be at 24, 20, 25 and a half. And everything lined up perfectly. So I just, you know what? I told my clients, I was like, hey, my bets might seem boring for the next couple of days, next couple of months, weeks, but we're going to win, right? And they're not going to complain. They're going to be like, oh, well, I'm paying this guy to give me Jokic points in first quarter overs. But hey, without me, you wouldn't have known that trend, and you wouldn't have been in the green for 19 days straight, right? And then there's you got to hop on lines before they change, obviously, especially player props. At the beginning of the year is like the most important part of the beginning of the year. If you're a player prop guy, you need to look at who do you think is going to do good at the beginning of the year and is going to be consistent all year long, right? For me, last year, example was Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant PRA, points, rebounds, assists, was at 24 and a half for the first like 2 months of the year. He was getting that only in his points. He was averaging 27 points a game. And every single time they started putting it up, I started cutting my unit size down. At some point, they got it at 30 and a half. And that's when I remember when I used to go on Pick Profits Live, when Brasco used to host it, people used to give that pick. Over 30 and a half PRA Jeremy Grant, and they used to fall on their face. You need to get on it early. You need to see who's going to be consistent, who's going to be good early, and who's going to be consistent late in the season, during the season. And you need to ride with that player, because if you just hop off board because he didn't get you one point, one game, you just fell for the trap. You lost your game. You lost your money right there. You need to ride with that player, because if you look at this year Embiid, he hit something like 16 straight over for his points. And if I know people missed it, I know 100% people missed it. And you need to get on those so you can get on a hot streak, in my opinion. You need to know your trends. And you just need to stick by your rules. Just stick by your rules. Don't go off course. That's when you lose everything.
So when you look at these trends, how many hours a day would you say you put in? I think, because we talk about this, and you're on point with everything you're saying. I think a lot of people, and I guess that's the reason why people pay for picks and you have clients, is that people are just like, fuck that. I don't want to like do all this research and look into all these trends. Like, goddamn, how do I even find that shit out? Like, how do you put that together in your brain? Is it kind of just something you like notice just watching games? It's something you like dig for, and kind of how much work do you put in to really catch those trends and know when it's too early or when it's too late to hop on?
You got to trust your gut feeling, man. That's the number one part. Your instinct is number one in these things. Your instinct, people don't talk enough about instinct. People always say, I'm the best capper in the world. I got the best bankroll. I'm the best in the world. But I know how to count numbers. I know how to read numbers. But there's something that people don't tell you. Your instinct, it remembers stuff that you don't, right? In the back of your head. And you got to listen to it sometimes. You got to be like, hey, why am I thinking of Jeremy Grant over points right now? And you got to go look into it and be like, man, you know what? Yeah, he did kill it the last couple of games. He had like plus 12, plus 9 here, plus 11 there. So, okay, you know what? I'm going to start looking into it more and more. And you look at, obviously, then you have to look at the roster, right? Okay, well, the Detroit Pistons they don't have the best roster. He's obviously the best player on that team. He's going to have the highest usage. He left the Nuggets, and he was on my team, so that helps even more, right? I'm a Nuggets guy. So he goes from the Nuggets to the Pistons, where he's the number one guy for that year. And you look at it and you're just like, okay, he's a high usage player. He's probably going to win most improved player of the year. And he's going to be the number one guy, like I said, on that team. So you just start looking into it, and it don't make sense that a number one guy, his total or whatever is that low, even if it's the beginning of the year. So you got to ride with it. If it don't work, it don't work. It's okay. Move on to another guy, but you got to stick to course. And thankfully, Jeremy Grant hit it. I have no idea how many times in the first couple of months, but it was well over 70% of the time. But then, how many hours do I put into this? Man, how many hours do I put into this? Countless, bro. Countless. Just countless. I'm always, if you hear me talk on lives, every single day, for the new viewers that hop on, I always say at the end of my night, even if I don't watch the sport, I take my phone, I go on ESPN, I go on the score or whatever, and I check the stats for every single player. I check the score for every single game. I check the score for every single quarter, for every single half, and see who did good, who did bad, who should have done good and who did bad, and who should have done bad and did good. Every single night. Every single night I do that. I'm always on my phone, bro. Even when I'm at work at the restaurant, I'm always on my phone. I'm always looking at who's up next, who's the next man up, who we can make money on. Because right now I'm talking about player props because like I said, I'm a player prop guy for the people who are gonna see this. And man, player props is something else. It's a different animal. I give shout outs to everyone who do game totals because I am probably the worst human being at game totals. I couldn't, bro. I know they're 50-50, but I am awful, bro, at game total. First quarter overs, bro, give me them. I'll game them. I'll eat them up, bro. First half overs, I'll eat them up. You give me a game total, I'm way off it. I'm either like 20 points ahead, above, or 20 points under, not even close. So these player props are a different animal because now you're not just looking at one game and you're like, okay, well, they average as a whole team. They cover against the spread 11 out of the 10 times. No, man, now you got to count on, let's say the Nuggets, Aaron Gordon putting up his points. You got to count on Jokic putting up his assists. You got to count up on Facundo Campazzo coming off the bench and averaging 9 points for you. Or you got to look at all these. You got to look at Monte Morris averaging 2.5 steals for you or blocks a game. And it's so much data and it's so much info, but it's worth it at the end of the day. And the amount of hours, like I said, man, they're just countless. I can't count. I can't even tell you, bro. all I know is that more and more I get into this, I'm buying more devices to basically keep in check everything I'm doing. Because I used to do everything on one phone. I used to do everything on this phone. And now this phone, if I'm on the live, it overheats.
And, just to kind of cap this episode off, what's the best advice you think you can give to people just trying to get into this, people struggling, people, doing just okay? What advice would you say that you have for them?
The most important one is trust the process. Trust it. Don't try to get ahead of the learning curve. Don't try to cheat Vegas. You really have to take your time, man. And it's cliche, but it's a marathon. It's not a race. And you guys know it. And every professional gambler or professional person in this industry knows it. It's a dangerous field. And you can't get caught up in it because catching the next high, catching the next, what's the next win? What's the next big win? Trust your unit size, create a bankroll, if you're not a professional bettor, find yourself, and you want to get into it, find yourself a capper that you can trust and that A1 has bankroll management, 2 has unit sizes and not crazy unit sizes. Don't go to the guy who has every single play is a 25 unit play, because what is a 25 unit play, right? Let's say, I don't know, my unit size, let's say, is $100. You're gonna tell me I'm gonna put 2,000, I'm gonna put 2.5 grand on every single game you just sent me right now? Like every single day you have a 25 unit play or a 200. What is a 200 unit play, right? And some people will tell you your bankroll, your unit size should be between 3 or 5% or whatever it is. I think it should just be something you're comfortable losing and you're comfortable betting, right? Whether you have a bankroll of $1,000, your unit size can be $5. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're in the green every single day, that's all that matters. As long as you're in the green every single week, that's all that matters. And as long as you're in the green every single year, that's what matters, right? You'll have losing days. You'll have cold streaks. I'll be the first one to say I have cold streaks. I'm not afraid to admit them. I post my losses more than I do my wins, right? And even my clients tell me, they're like, Chef, why don't you post your wins? I'm like, oh man, it's a lot of work to like screenshotting everything and posting it. Like, if I lose, I'm gonna just post it and be like, hey, I lost. I fell on my face today. I went 1-6. Then you know what? Trust the process. It's fine. I'll make our money back by the end of the week. And it's not gonna be on a big unit play or anything. It's gonna be on 1 unit plays, 2 unit plays, and it's gonna be slow. So that's the most important thing I could ever tell anyone is trust the process and find yourself someone who can teach you how to manage your bankroll. Because I have new clients that are coming from other cappers and are telling me, yeah, I'm down today. How are you down? How are you down? I keep track of every single thing we do. We're at plus 5.65 units today. How are you down? oh yeah, I did a parlay and that didn't cash, and I followed this guy's live and he said take the Braves money line or whatever it is, and it didn't cash, and I'm just like, bro, if you want to do that, that's on you, right? I can't stop you from doing that. If you think that you can win those games and whatnot, go for it, right? But you're paying me for a reason, right? You're paying me because I'm not only bringing you bets, winning bets, I'm bringing you insight on what I think my thought process is behind the game and how we should put the unit sizes on these games. Man, I'm gonna say it again. It's just trust the process. Just trust the process. It's a long process, and it's fun seeing you put $2,000 and win $5,000 on a game. It's like the best feeling ever, but it's not always gonna happen, man. And some people, they don't have the bankroll for it. So don't pretend like you have that bankroll, right? I don't have that bankroll. Fuck, if I had that bankroll, trust me, I'd be posting tickets every single day of me spending $5,000 in tickets, but I don't. I just don't have that bankroll, and I applaud the people who do and who win the bets on them, because hey man, you guys are killing it. But if you have debts to pay, you have bills to pay, you have your kids, you have your rent coming up, you have all these things coming up, you shouldn't be betting an amount that you can't lose, you know, and you shouldn't be trusting to make that money off gambling, because it's the worst feeling, because now you're not betting with your instincts, you're not betting with a strategy, you're betting purely based off emotion on, oh yeah, the Nets, they always cover for me, so I'm gonna take them today, and yeah, that's it. Well, what happens if they don't cover today, man? What happens if they lose? Well, now you just lost your rent money or your child support money or whatever it is, and you're the loser now, you know. So yeah, trust the process and be patient. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, man, some great info. We really appreciate you coming on. Hope one of these days you open up a restaurant that's like, you know, serving up steaks, serving out lox. You can call it like raising the stakes or something. Where like,
oh man, I like that. That's a good one, man. Yeah, that's a good one.
Some food. Maybe they can play some bets. But yeah, man, we appreciate you coming on. It's always been a pleasure. We'll be tapping into your lives. We'll get on live sometime here soon. And if you want to just plug the people where everyone can find you on Instagram, if you have Twitter, anything like that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you guys know me. You guys can follow me on ChefsHotPicks on Instagram. I now teamed up with the Pig Vault. They have a great system that they're coming up with. They're basically want to be the next AI system to bring you in depth in games, in props, whatever it might be. I mean, that AI, I'm not gonna lie, not only because I'm teamed up, the reason why I teamed up with him, because that AI is pretty spot on, man. I'm sometimes afraid to take it because I like that human instinct. But that AI, man, it's hard to go against that AI. it's like always like a point right there or 0.5 right there to what the score is actually. And the owner, what Matt is doing is something really special. I really hope that they become the next or bigger than OddsShark, Vegas Insider, Action Network, whatever app or site there is. Obviously, y'all can find me on the Sally's Train Show live at 5:30 every single day from Monday to Friday, and the show that Karina and I do together from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. One of my favorite shows to just tap in, because we don't only talk about sports there, we just talk about life in general, is the late night live with Gambino at 11 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes we stay up until like 5 a.m. Betting Chinese basketball. So if you guys love that, tap in, and don't be shy and send me a message. I'm always here to help you guys.
Absolutely, bro. We appreciate having you on, Chef. It's been a pleasure. Definitely gonna have to link up again sometime soon.
Sure.
Go over some of these futures. No NFL. That's your game right there. So definitely gonna have to make sure this happens again.
For sure, man. It was a pleasure talking to you guys. It was a pleasure meeting you guys, and I really hope we do this again and talk about some futures, like you said, because I love me some futures, bro. Love me some futures.
Absolutely.
Yo, YBH.